Extreme Vegas. Now, when people see that in the cruise conference, it's always like, what kind of show is it? And you really can't explain what your show is all about. Extreme Vegas really does kind of sum it up. We've got Justina and Daniela there, and...
well, first off, the show is family-oriented, so you don't have to worry about that part. People say Vegas.
It's not that much Vegas.
Yeah, not that much Vegas. No, the show takes you on a highlight of all the specialty variety acts that you'd see in Las Vegas. Years and years ago, the variety acts were used as a filler between the Showgirls production numbers. While they went backstage to change, they put a variety act out on stage. And those small variety acts back in the day were people like Siegfried and Roy and Lance Burton and all these magicians and comedians would go out there and fill time while the sets were being changed. And then through the years, it seemed that the audience started going, well, this is not a filler, this is actually pretty cool. And as you know as well, the variety acts became bigger and bigger and bigger, and most of the variety acts became out with their own shows, like Siegfried and Roy and Lance Burton and all these things. And now you have shows like Cirque du Soleil, which unfortunately doesn't have any showgirls or anything anymore. The whole show is based on just the variety acts. And that's the cool thing about Vegas. You can go there and you can see the variety side, you can see the Soleil side, you can see the production show side. And so what we've done here tonight is incorporate all the variety and specialty acts into one show. And so a little bit of everything in 1 hour show.
It's really fast paced. It's like the show is like bang, 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 it goes on. And
sponsored by Red Bull.
Yeah. Yeah, Red Bull and Seattle's best coffee up on deck number 6. Yeah. Now, your main parts of the show, obviously, is what's called the roller bowler. And if you say roller bowler, unless you work in the entertainment industry, you may not know what roller bowler is. Just quickly explain.
Believe it or not, that was actually my wife's father. Her father did this act, and after we got married, he taught me the routine. And I have a little bit different version than he does, but we have a very similar style in the act. And it's basically a mix between a surfboard, a skateboard, and it's just a round cylinder, and it creates the effect that you're constantly moving underneath your board. And I perform on top of a high table, and I do some very dangerous tricks, including stacking many cylinders on top of each other and jumping over swords, and the same routines that you'll be learning later on after this interview is over.
Yeah, everything's set up behind the curtain. We'll be doing it in a little while. And, of course, then juggling is the other main thing that you do. There's lots of different things that you do during the act, but they're kind of your two.
Well, the juggling act is my original featured act. That's what I became well known for. I'm the world's only fireworks juggler, and don't worry, I'm not doing that on the ship. The captain wasn't really happy with that routine for some reason. But yeah, that's what I became kind of known for. I went around the world performing those routines. A lot of pyrotechnics. It was designed like a Kiss concert in a juggling act. It was kind of unique, and so it wasn't your average juggling act. But
bringing rock and roll to the juggling world.
Exactly, exactly. And that's what got me kind of used to doing the act and around the place. And then when we left casinos and production shows and we started doing our first ever cruise ship, we changed the show around and made it adapt to the theater, and so far so good.
Now, of course, you share the show with the lady sitting to your right, who you've already given away, isn't just your stage partner, she is your wife, Daniela. Welcome to the show, Daniela.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's wearing the ring just to prove it.
Is that for me or for you to know that we're married?
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably best you didn't hear that.
A whole different type of show.
Yeah, let's get back on track. So, Daniela, you're part of the show. The one thing that everybody remembers is the hula hoops.
Right. Yeah, the hula hoops was kind of funny because, as you know, I've come from an entertainment background. My mom was a ballerina. She was touring with a dance company several years ago now, 30-some years ago, and went to perform in Italy, and that's where she met my father, who at the time was an acrobat. And then they got married, fell in love, and continued touring around doing their shows. And they really weren't too happy about me continuing in the business. It was kind of something where my mom said, well, we just want you to do school all the time, school. And eventually, after about 2 years of playing around with my hula hoops as my toys, they started to become routines. And my dad says, hey, you have something here. So started putting together little routines and doing little shows and competitions and things like that. And so eventually worked our way to being a professional hula hoop artist, if you wish.
And as well, you do the Spanish web and the flight, the aerial acrobatics in there as well.
Right. The aerial was something I learned at a later date. I think it was about 3 years later. I actually had someone to come in and teach me, and we did some training. So that actually is a difficult act to do on the ship when we're moving quite a bit as well, because of the motion and especially in this theater, because it's a little bit lower than what we normally would be doing it at, and so things aren't as stable. But nonetheless, it still works, and people seem to enjoy it, so that's good.
Now, of course, on the Rhapsody of the Seas, for the second season, we're down here in Australia, and obviously from your accents, you're from the United States. Although, Daniela, you weren't born in the United States.
No, I'm actually British born. My father's Portuguese Italian, and my mom English, but I was raised in Florida. So I guess I have a very generic accent. I don't know.
You've got a little bit of everything in
Yeah.
there. But yeah, we're heading like around Australia and the South Pacific, and this isn't the first time that you've worked down here. And actually, we didn't quite meet, but the first time that I knew that you existed was a couple of years ago in Australia.
That's right. We were working at a casino on the Gold Coast called Conrad Jupiter's, and we were there for about 18 months during that contract. Original contract was due to be a year, and then they extended it. It was absolutely fabulous, and I believe that's where you had come to see the show.
Yeah, I was on holidays in Australia back in 2006. I was staying with a friend of mine who, since you've gotten to know as well and become friends, the entertainment industry is such a small world. People really don't realize it doesn't take too many people to get... If you don't know someone, you know someone who knows someone. And so, yeah, we were staying up on the Gold Coast, and my friend was like, do you want to go and see this show across the street at the casino? So, oh, yeah, let's go see the show. And there was this variety act, and we said, oh, they'd be really cool on ships. And then just over a year later, all of us, myself, my friend who is a guest entertainer, and Justino and Daniela, we all ended up here on board the Rhapsody of the Seas. And yeah, very small world. So
Yeah, absolutely. It is quite shocking how you sometimes meet people in life and you think, oh, well, who knows if we'll ever see them again. And then shortly after, you end up doing these long contracts with them. So yeah, it is a very small world.
Because you've been on the Rhapsody now for just over a year, a little over a year.
That's right. And by the time we'll be going home, it'll be 18 months on this one ship. So yeah, quite a long time.
Then home for holidays, and then to another ship in Europe next summer, yeah?
In Europe. We'll be going to the Jewel next, so that will be pretty exciting because we'll have a brand new ship, a Radiance class ship, and also a brand new itinerary. So we're really looking forward to that. At least I am. And good shopping.
Yeah. Justino's not looking forward to that. Yeah. And it's really expensive in Europe as well,
Yeah.
Justino, you know that.
Yeah, he's okay with that.
All right, well, we'll come back to you in a little while, and we'll talk a little bit
Okay.
about working on the ship and everything like that. Now, working on ships, and we've got people that have been working for many years on ships. Justino and Daniela are fairly new. And actually, probably with you, because your act, probably more than any, like you say, you've been working since childhood, basically, on land, perfecting your art, and there's a lot of things that you've had to, first of all, change in order to be able to work on a ship, and secondly, that you've had to get used to working on a ship. What has been the most difficult thing adapting from working in theatres and arenas and showrooms on land to suddenly being here on the Rhapsody of the Seas?
I think one of the biggest challenges is being able to balance, because walking around in high heels on a stage that's moving constantly up and down is a little bit challenging. The other thing that is a little bit different for us, especially because our show requires so much height and staging area, is the amount of shows that the theater can hold is amazing compared to the amount of space that's actually available to everyone. So that's a huge adjustment when you first arrive. You have to figure out, use every single hole, nick and cranny to put your equipment and to learn how to do the best show you can with the minimal amount of space.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realise, you go to a theatre on land, whether it be in the West End or Broadway in New York or in any major city, and that theatre will have one show in it for a month, a year, or in the case of the West End, a show could run for 10 years. But here on board, we have a different show every single night. So we've got musical equipment, sets, props, costumes, and everything else. And you use quite a lot of equipment in your show, but you're just one of up to 10 different entertainers that we could have on at any given time. So you've all got to learn to share, basically.
Definitely. It's definitely, it's more like a puzzle game. As you take one piece out, the other one has to go back in. Yeah, that's was a little bit challenging, but I think we've all managed to work together and work very well. And we have a great crew, and everybody seems to be very helpful, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, and we are fortunate to have some fantastic people working backstage, and without them, you never see them. They're the guys and girls dressed all in black, and everything that goes on